Welcome to All Worn Out. I'm your host, Warren Meredith. On the show today, it's Alex Pellerin-Auprix of band Taming Sari. Hey, those guys are pretty cool, I think. Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Worn Out, the podcast about music and whatever you're passionate about. And today we have a very special guest that maybe you're familiar with. I know that I am familiar with him more than most of my guests on the show. He is the bass player for Taming Sari, but he's a lot more, and we're going to find out about him. He's Alex Pellerin-Auprix. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you so much for having me, Warren. I'm so happy to be here, and with your delicious wall in the back that I love. Just happy to be here with you.
Well, I've made some changes up there. I've swapped in a few, but as I said before to the last guest, it was kind of disastrous. Moving things around, everything almost collapsed and died, and it was kind of scary.
Yeah, I'm just noticing the Alfie. Number 11. So that's
yes,
awesome.
Exactly. Well, if the camera panned that way, then it's like hockey stuff. There's like
Sweet
goalies and other hockey memorabilia, hockey pucks, but right here it's music world.
Yes.
So this is episode number 7, and I just want to point out that there will be some girls eventually on the podcast. There will be some ladies coming on the show eventually. Not that it's, the be-all, end-all of the world, but,
It's good to have diversity. It's good for you to talk to people from different walks of life.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And we have a bunch of them. We have a bunch of everybody booked, like a ton of people booked in July and August coming up. So
sweet.
Here
You've been busy, Warren. I've been watching the episodes. You've been doing great.
Thank you.
I'm loving it.
I am trying. Update for everyone out there. Miguel this summer, Miguel Kingsbury from the band, he's doing a lot of go-karting, I believe, on the Gatineau circuit, somewhere around Quebec, and these are some pretty fast little karts. So, yeah, he's zipping around out there probably today.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure you'll have him later on this summer too.
Oh, I hope he comes on. I think a lot of people would enjoy seeing him. So, Alex, what have you been up to lately?
I mean, lots of things. It's summer. I've been enjoying it so much. I started playing volleyball. I joined the volleyball league with the OSSC, the Ottawa Sports Social Club. It's been awesome. Just playing like some beach volleyball, getting out there every Monday night, as one does on a Monday night. And I've been biking a lot. I took my bike out quite a lot this year so far. Went up the Belvedere, the lookout,
nice.
Shopline Lookout yesterday with some buddies, and went to Lake Meech. So, getting out there. I've been writing some music too, just a couple of different songs that, come to mind with the summertime, some easy listening stuff.
I haven't been writing a whole lot lately, but that's because I kind of went into this manic podcast world where I decided that the podcast must happen. And then I started calculating, all the technical things I would need. And I started asking everybody to be on it. And
well, you're writing, you're creating, right? You're creating content. You're still staying active. And,
I am.
We're always,
and
I'll bounce some lyrics off you or bounce some riffs. So we're always kind of working,
Yeah, I'm going to get inspired by all the artists that are coming on. Everyone's pretty passionate these days, which is excellent to see. So you have been writing some music, but you've also been, being physical, getting around, enjoying the summer weather. What do you... let's go back in time, Alex. Where were you born? That's what I like to ask people.
Okay, well, I was born in Hull, Quebec, just on the other side of the river. And I grew up in Elmer, Quebec, which is just west of Hull. But yeah, that was quite a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, I was born in Hull and grew up in Elmer. I'm French speaking. French is my first language, but I learned English really, really early, which was really nice because in Elmer, you needed English to survive. It was very 50-50, had a lot of friends that spoke English, so was fortunate enough to be in that environment. So, yeah, so making the move to Ottawa was pretty easy.
Okay, and I mean, let's stay back there in time. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you remember musically infecting you when you were a young kid? Can you remember anything from your childhood musically that was
Yeah.
powerful?
I remember my first ever show that I had consciousness of. It was Saint Jean Baptiste, which is like a huge holiday in Quebec celebrating, Quebec and French music. And there was a band called La Bottine Souriante, which is like the laughing boot.
Okay.
And they played like really like folk traditional music. And I remember hearing that. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. The fiddles, double bass, drums, just like lyrics that were like really fun and like engaging. And that like a switch went off. I'm like, oh my God, this is really cool. I hope that someday in the future, like I could be part of that. Right. Like it's just such a vivid memory of that. So yeah. That was
That's
like one of
cool.
the big things that happened
Very cool.
in my life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember buying your first CD or your first whatever it was, whatever the medium might have been, and what was it?
I remember buying my first CD, Sum 41.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
Killer, No
See?
Filler.
See,
Do you remember that album?
I said that I got Blink 182.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
my
take off
first
your
one,
pants and
but that was like a
jacket
few
and-
years prior, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, and then Cliff gave me crap for that, or whoever said it. I can't remember who, but someone said, "Oh, we'll just say that it was Nirvana that you bought," but it wasn't. Like I said then, I wasn't that cool. I mean,
I mean, Nirvana's, great, but Blink 182, they were iconic,
yeah,
Like,
during my age, during
Yeah.
my time, Nirvana's a little bit before me.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, Sum 41 it was like it's pretty epic. I mean, they've had a huge year. There's no doubt about that.
yeah, no, they're still going, I think they're playing one of their last shows next year in February or in Ottawa. So I don't know. I might go see them just for old time's sake.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, that was a while ago. I remember that album. Me and my buddy got the album. We're like, okay, let's listen to it. And motivation, such an aggravation. That.
See, I have a similar memory to my friend Hatley buying Red Hot Chili Peppers when maybe he was like 12.
Yeah.
And it was, Californication. And like
Nice.
I
Good
remember
album.
I remember like just that album on repeat and us in that room just being like, wow, this is so cool. This is the coolest music. Where did this come from? And
Is that the one that starts with "All Around the World"?
yeah,
That bass line.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
it's a very awesome
Love it.
album. And then after that, it was Linkin Park
Yeah.
that he got into, and I kind of followed my friends early on for sure for what was popular or like what was good in the mainstream of things. I guess I didn't really
Yeah.
know. Even early on, I think I liked older music. I was still attracted to older styles of music, and as for what was new, I didn't really know what Yeah.
Just discover it as you go. I remember like the first rock album that we owned. Like my sister and I would always like exchange music, and she had this AC/DC album, Stiff Upper Lip. It's still my favorite AC/DC album. Like, but it's just like, oh my God, like rock, blues, guitar licks, riffs, like it's different. It was different from Sum 41.
I think the first time kids hear AC/DC, it's generally it's like Metallica. Like
Right.
It can be mind altering. It can be mind shifting. Like hearing certain bands, it literally can just change a kid's attitude. I was talking about how I really loved listening to certain music before playing hockey.
Nice.
And even now, like you hear about players in the locker rooms at professional levels fighting over who controls who gets to control that audio and who
The
gets to pick
Bluetooth,
the
yeah.
songs. And over the years how it's changed but never changes. Somebody's responsible and they get to be in control of that.
What was the song that like would pump you up? Because you're a goalie, right?
Yeah, I mean, I liked Queen, like the We Will Rock You into We Are the Champions.
Yeah.
But also Aerosmith, or oh gosh, what else? Stranglehold. I mean, there's a
Nice.
lot of good rock songs that I think really pump you up, and that's what what else was big back then though was like Ace of Base, and like there was some techie kind of music that was also kind of big. I can't remember what they called it, but pump it, pump it, pump it up. That type of music.
Yeah,
And,
those classic songs that like are just like
power jams. I think they
jams.
called them like power jams or whatever. And
Would you have power jam with peanut butter?
oh man, I remember the quick powder. Like I remember, like we had a Nestle's factory in our town, so like, everything Nestle's when I was a kid, and I remember those little tin cans, and you'd like pop the top off and get that powder out, and that was some good stuff.
Nice.
And then later on, like it was a shame when that factory closed, because every morning waking up smelling coffee, it was pretty great. That was pretty great smell in the morning, kind of like Willy Wonka, but without Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
So what? So it was Sum 41 was the first CD you bought, and then after that, what was it?
I said Stiff Upper Lip.
Stiff Upper Lip, AC/DC. So that's a big change. Like that's a big genre move in rock. Like you're moving away from the surfer. You're moving away from a certain skateboarder style of rock music, and you're going into more rebellious 80s, we live the way we want to rock music. So that's kind of cool.
I remember, my buddy at the time would be playing guitar, and I'd be like, oh, I want to play guitar too. Like I want to play these licks. I want to play like Angus, And he said like, no, you're going to play bass. We already have a guitar player. We already have a drummer. You're going to play bass. And you know what they did to convince me to buy a bass? I don't know if I've ever told you this story.
I don't think so.
But okay, I'm going to pour us a drink.
Okay, good.
I brought my favorite gin.
Okay, so for everyone out there listening right now, whenever we go recording, there are certain recording albums of music, whatever, songs, singles. We like to have a nice drink at the Airbnb when we're all done for the day. And this tends to be our choice. We tend to go with a gin and tonic after a long day because it's nice and refreshing.
Oh, yeah. Lots of lime. Sometimes I put grapefruit in there. Some people like that.
Alex is the ultimate band member. For all the bands out there, you're missing out because if you don't have Alex, you're not getting his cooking. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's fantastic. We like getting...
I'll talk to you about a couple of recipes I'm into lately that we'll try next time we're on tour at the studio. Here you go. Nice little gin tonic with the lime.
We got the lime and everything.
Cheers, buddy.
And cheers, mon ami.
All right. So, yes. So, my buddy was like, he was showing me all these songs, and he's like, you like this song? You like this song? I'm like, yeah. And then he would drop like the bass. He would remove all the bass from the mix. He's like, do you still like this song? I'm like, not as good. He's like, I just took the bass out. This is why you need to play bass. This is why bands need a bass player, for that rich, full, deep, low frequency sound that you hear in music. And I'm like, all right, you got me. And then I had to beg my parents to like buy me a bass and an amp, and I got an old J Tercer, like that's how I got started with a custom 16-watt amp. Yeah, I was 12 years old at that time. I remember.
Wow. I mean, I can promise you, like everyone out there, most of the time when that happens, people are like, the kid never plays music. It just, they get the bass and then it collects spider webs and it's all over. But that's not what happened with you.
I had such a great teacher for the first year. His name was Guy. And this guy was an inventor. Like you would go to his place. He built a lift where he could remove a building off his pool. Like he had like a building over his pool. And then when he wanted the building off, he had it on rails and he could move the building. And it was like a giant kind of like pool house. and he had a shower that was connected to a piano, and that you went like whenever someone taking a shower, he would play piano, and then the jets were connected to different notes. Like, it was insane. This guy was completely something else,
That's cool.
and he showed me the blues.
Well, there you go.
He said, like, listen to BB King, Muddy Waters.
Yes.
He said, listen to the Stones, like,
Yeah.
listen to the true, like, blues. And I'm like, whatever, I'll never play that kind of music, like, I don't think it's gonna happen for me. And then he showed me all the kind of like the fundamentals of it,
Yeah.
scales, and he would sing with his bass, and I'm like, okay, so you could do more than just play the notes. You could sing, you can be animated. So this guy really taught me what playing bass actually meant. So
It's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
I remember being a kid the first time seeing Blues Brothers. And,
Oh, yeah.
being really obsessed with it and having to put a play on for my parents as soon as the movie ended. Like, as
Nice.
soon as the movie ends, right?
Love
It's
it.
not even like I give them 10 minutes. It's like, no. Now you've watched the movie. Now it's time for my version of the movie. We're talking about when I was like 4, and I come out with a hat on and I decide I'm going to be a blues brother and this and
Nice.
that. But I mean, it was pretty cool stuff. The blues is so powerful. It doesn't matter.
did you have the sunglasses too? I
Oh,
can just
yeah.
picture you with
Oh,
those
yeah.
little sunglasses.
And then I transitioned that into the detective blues. Like, I made a song up about having the detective blues.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how but I was a weird kid.
I can imagine it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not,
I mean, you're still a weird kid
Yeah.
to me, but
it's not too hard. It's not too hard to imagine.
yeah, the leap is not too far.
Yeah. And so you're doing this. So this guy is basically some kind of master manipulator. He's figured out how to convince you to become a bass player. And, listen, it's just that there's not a lot of glory for the bass player. That's, the truth of it. You find a lot of glory. You find the good moments, and so do good bass players.
For sure. I mean, it's not all about the glory per se, but I feel like there's something very rewarding about putting on a performance, but also holding the beat, holding the band together with the drummer, right?
Yeah,
you
the
start
rhythm.
with the drum and the bass,
Yep.
and then you just overlay things on top.
Yeah.
And then you let people shine, and then you shine in a way that it's just a whole ensemble kind of thing.
Look, the bass is probably the instrument I would play if I was just playing an instrument in a band. I really liked it growing up, and I
Yeah.
still like it. And it's very important in dance. It's just a very key instrument. And like, when our songs are being made, like, to me, that bass line it's just as important as the guitar riff. It's just as important as a vocal line. Like, it's very key, especially in
Thank you for saying that. I did not slip $20 to Warren before the podcast for him to say that.
Well, Alex. You've always had a lot of fun in the studio
Yeah.
over the years.
I love it.
I think the
I
studio
always miss
can be daunting for some people. It can be fun for others, exciting, etc. You go through a lot of emotions. I go through a lot of emotions. I shouldn't say everybody, because I can't speak for everyone, but I
Most
go through
people, I'm sure.
a lot of emotions, highs and lows, feeling like I've accomplished something, then feeling like I got to go back and do it all over again. Is this song good enough? Is this song ready? No, it's not ready. This song's not ready. And it's quite the process.
And you always come out on top, like you figure out what you need to do, and you always kill it. Like, I'm always super impressed by you and by what you could do vocally and creatively. Like, it's always
Wow.
amazing. But you know what it is? It's a process, right?
Yes,
You
correct.
have to accept that you're entering the studio with as much preparedness as you can, as much ready as you, but it's never going to be enough. There's always going to be more added on top. There's always going to be some challenges you can't foresee, and sometimes it's just not instrumental issues or vocal issues. It's just life happens to you. You get a message, you have to go to work, or there's always things getting in the way of the creativity and the process. But you kind of have to clear your head and accept you're going in there to create. You're with people that you love and that you trust, and you're going to end up with a product that you're proud of. right?
Well, we've been very fortunate over the years. I mean, back to 2018 or 2019 when we made our first
2018,
connection
yeah.
with Ross A. Citrillo of the Commoners. And
Hey, Ross.
hello, bud.
If
And
you're watching.
hope you're over there in England having a good time at your show or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But, anyways, we were lucky that we had a good relationship with him. We were upfront with him about what we wanted to get out of it. He was upfront with us about what it would take to get that. And thankfully, everybody held on for dear life throughout all the processes. And we always were able to get out a song that I think we felt pretty good about. It's really hard to come out of there feeling like you did everything perfect. Although, I mean, you can attest to this story. So the first time Taming Sari recorded in Toronto, we recorded Helping Man and we recorded
Fire.
So demos, not even full versions. We recorded demos for these two songs. And we were staying at a hotel. It wasn't an Airbnb,
it was a
right?
condo.
It was a condo.
It was on York Street.
It was pretty
The
swanky,
ice
right?
condos. Yeah.
It was pretty swanky.
I remember those, yeah.
And yeah, it was a pretty intense time. And I just remember us all being very giddy. And when it was done, the guy stayed up into the late hours of the night on the balcony in Toronto with a boombox.
Yeah.
And on the
Mixed
boom,
construction boombox.
yeah, Miguel's construction boombox.
Just like this neon green like boombox.
And they're out on this balcony and late at night, and they're playing these two demos on repeat. Like, I don't even think my voice was on those demos yet. Like,
No, we were just dancing like this. We were
they were just
grooving.
dancing, and I was like on the couch with a blanket and my pajamas on, and I was going, "Get in the house. We're going to get in trouble, and there's going to be a noise complaint, and you guys are being too loud." And, Miguel's like, "Shut up. You're annoying me." And Danny and you and Adam were just having a great time. Everyone was just laughing and having so much fun.
We were like high on the music.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
We were just like...
We were very,
Like,
they were
what is
very
this?
giddy. I was exhausted for whatever reason. Who knows why? But I was being wienery worn, which is usual for that hour of the night.
It was needed, though. It was needed.
If
We
I
needed
don't
to be calmed down.
if I don't have my little hovel to go back to, like my little mole hole to go back and run into, and I'm like out and about, it's not good news for me. Like, because that means I'm gonna be on high anxiety alert mode, and I'll be like a meerkat up out of the hole, like, where is everything? Where is everyone? Where's the danger? And then I go, back down.
Yeah.
So, me, after shows, I'll often drive home. Like, I won't be there that long afterwards. I won't hang out and drink all night or anything, right? Which I know I should be social. I am. I try and be social with everybody.
You are.
But
I mean, you're a human being as well, and you have...
in the end, I want to go eat and go sit down because I'm tired and it's been a long day. Like, you can attest again to this. Playing in a band is not showing up to a gig and playing. Like, you don't just show up at 6 o'clock and play at 8. That's not, like, if you get that happen, it's not going to stay that way.
Someone has set up your equipment and checked your sound and has like made sure everything is right, but not everybody has that.
When is load-in, right? Like, load-in for us has been 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then we don't play it till 10, 11 o'clock sometimes.
And sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's an hour. Who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, like the last time in Kingston, it was a pretty early sound check, and you
At the
brought
Blue Martini.
You brought the wife, but she was able to go shopping. Like, that's the thing.
Laura went shopping. Yeah.
She had time to go and enjoy herself in Kingston. Meanwhile, we were like in mission control, just like 7 hours till showtime, or like whatever it was, on countdown mode. But
Yeah. But sometimes, we go out, we go for a drink, we go for food. And I mean, I went for a walk like in Kingston, where the water is, Lake Ontario. It's great.
so what was this first band called when you were 12 and you got your bass?
Oh my God. I'm trying to remember. I don't think it had a name. I don't think we even got to the point of jamming.
I think that makes it cooler.
Okay, you know what it was? It was the transition between primary school and high school for me. So I kind of lost touch with these guys. And here I was stuck with this bass and starting high school in the music program.
Okay.
And I wanted to play saxophone. I had to, in order to get into the music program at high school, I had to write a letter to my parents and sign a contract that I was going to play 3 years of piano. And like as a commitment before playing bass, because they didn't really understand bass. They didn't really understand like what it was all about. They more saw like classical instruments like brass and whatnot. And I did 1 year piano, and I'm like, Mom and Dad, please, can I just play bass? Like that's what I want to do. Like I can't play piano. Like I love playing it now,
Right?
Because like I have more control over it. But the fact that they made me sign a contract, it was really like, no thanks. I'm not, like, that's not the way to do it. But yeah, they ended up letting me play bass, and from grade 7 to grade 11, which in Quebec it's secondaire 1 to secondaire 5. I played bass.
Très bizarre, là. Okay, so you did the bass in the high school band.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a classic orchestra. You had trombones, you had trumpets, you had percussions, you had flutes, you had clarinets, you had all of that. And then you had me playing the bass in the back next to the tuba.
Hey,
one of my buddies was playing the tuba.
I think my mom played some kind of bass, but it was like, or some kind of large instrument, but it was the classical version in the case, like the big old stand up or whatever, I think.
I played that too. I was in the string orchestra later on, and we were playing like, I wasn't playing with the bow. I was playing with my fingers, like the finger style. And I was also at that time, I was in the jazz band. Cool. Which they called the stage band.
Cool.
So everything that wasn't classical, you know, like blues, rock. So we were playing like The Police, we were playing like Norah Jones, we were playing like all these like jazzy songs, and I'm like, okay, there's the blues again, there's the jazz, you know, here's the music that's a lot more interesting than, well, classical music is great. I love it. I love classical music, but it's kind of nice to mix it up, so.
It's always good to mix it up, but classical music is foundational. I mean, okay, so I remember being a kid in music lessons and piano lessons from about the age of 6 on.
Yep.
And my teacher, I begged him to teach me the blues. Like I told you, I watched the Blues Brothers. I really wanted to learn it. And I remember telling him I wanted him to teach me the blues. And realistically, looking back, all he had to do was teach me a blues scale or two. Mm-hmm. And I probably would have been satisfied, and I probably would have played around with that, had fun with that, and
improvised.
You know, but he was very obsessed with me sticking to the Royal Conservatory agenda, not coming outside of that book, not coming out of the scale program. Right. He said, one day you'll learn the blues and you'll see there's nothing to it.
Don't you hate that the blues and rock is supposed to be kind of like a reward after you've gone through like all the classical, all the kind of rudimentary theoretical music?
It kind of ruined it for me, to be honest with you. For me, like at a certain point after doing so much music, I was kind of that classical. I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I needed a break from it. And he wasn't willing to go there, and that's too bad because it really broke me away from music for a while. I didn't want to do the lessons anymore. I mean, I'd done them for a long time, but again, what happened was I was succeeding by using my ear. Right. And I could read music, but at a certain point, it kind of was annoying. I kind of preferred to use my ear. And I'd ask him to play me the song again. I'd say, can you play that for me one more time? And he'd say, absolutely not. He said, I know.
He knew.
Oh, he knew 100%.
You were absorbing it. You were a sponge.
I did the tests for ear tests, like I said in the another past episode, and I tested very good for ears, for
like
hearing.
Like the intervals?
Yeah, like knowing what the note was. Like I would turn my back, and then the Royal Conservatory person would like play a chord, and I'd say, oh, that's a C chord, and then they like, okay, that's a G, and this is the D, you know, whatever it is, and I could just tell them what it was.
Wow.
So it's not perfect pitch because I could never like hum out a note. I was never able to go, that's an A or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that was never me. But there are people who can do that, which I think is amazing.
But your pitch is great. Yeah, like I'm
it's-
still struggling to find like my inner ear, and all the stuff that we talk about. Like, okay, like we're doing back vocals, and we're going on stage. I'm like, okay, let's try to harmonize, but it's just like finding that interval and finding like that minor third or that fifth. Like it takes time, but it's a great challenge. But for you, obviously, it comes a bit more naturally.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
It certain parts of it come completely naturally, and then other parts you have to really work on. And I remember being in college in Toronto, and everybody in the theater program there at Humber, all the students had their own specialty.
Right.
It was almost like the circus, where like Joey was like, he could bounce off the wall and do like acrobatics, and Sally was a great singer, and Bobby, he used to do magic, and his father was a professional wrestler. Like everybody had their forte,
Right.
I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, well, I guess I'm the comedian, I guess I'm the funny guy. And then I got into choir. Oh, sorry, my dog's behind us and she scared me. So then
Keeping us company.
I got into we had choir every week, and that was where I discovered I was being relied on to help lead groups, help start the song, whatever it was, make sure that everyone was on the right key, and then I'd be the loudest person. I could easily be louder than everyone in the combined. And not that that's a good thing, but that's just what I was discovering. Like I had a
Right.
time of discovery where all of a sudden it became apparent in this group of, I don't want to call it elite, but like 25 very dedicated thespians, future thespians, people who really wanted to develop their performance techniques.
Right.
And very dedicated. And so seeing that gave me perspective, and it made me go, okay, I got to go back and be in a band, because I was already in a band before, and then I was like, oh, I got to go do what I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then I got there, and it was like kind of like it's like you release a song and you want it to get a little bit of love, and then you get that recognition, and then you go, oh, okay, I am decent. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
I kind of got that feeling from that program, even though I failed out of theater school and was kicked out, and I cried horribly.
Well, I mean, it's not a necessarily an indication of your capabilities of like what you're going to be able to grow.
I was a shithead. I was a 23-year-old shithead, and I
Yeah.
should have been kicked out. So that's all, but I still cried about it.
But it just reminds me of like during high school, I was part of a rock band. Parallel to all of this, to the classical, to the stage band, we were called the Roadhogs.
The Roadhogs.
And we played a couple of shows. We played at the youth center. We played like at those Battle of the Bands at high school. And our singer was very Sean, my very, very good buddy Sean. He was a great singer. He had a good range. He could do rock. He could do gore. Like he could do like metal. And like it really gave our band like such a
Nice edge.
And yeah, like those were great guys, and we were great times. But yeah, after high school it got complicated. I was going off to college. They were doing something else. So yeah, I kind of took a break from music after high school. I just did the adult orchestra.
Okay.
But I wasn't in any band. I was just jamming with people, and in college I brought my acoustic bass, and then whoever wanted to play, like I would play with them. And yeah, that was really fun too. That was a good discovery time as well.
What were you studying in university?
So I was doing history and geography, majoring in history, minor in geography. That was my first BA, and I have my BEd as well. Like I'm a teacher basically in history and French as second language. Yep.
So you enjoyed university, you liked it, you were good at it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was interesting because I really loved it, but at the same time, I always felt like it was missing something. Like the academic portion of it was always interesting. Learning about all the different periods of history. Learning about like urban geography and sustainability, like all these different concepts, and like it was really like it always fired my brain in great ways. And And you know, I always kept music kind of parallel to that, but it was different. It was different. Music was always kind of like very separate in its own category.
Right.
It's always been a struggle for me to kind of put it in the forefront, especially during my studies, but probably because I was very busy.
I mean, it's interesting because we can both understand now, I mean, where parents would be coming from when they're trying to push us perhaps in a different direction at times, because simply it's very difficult to make money in music unless you are very focused at it. And fortunately, we're going to have so many people on the show who do make a living at it. I mean, they're teachers, most of them, and they find a way to do it, right? They find a way to pass on the gift of music, which is a special thing. So, I mean, that's cool. And then is that when you met your future wife to be?
I did meet Laura, yes, when I was in my third year university. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a good time to meet her. It wasn't like in the first year where it would like greatly distract you and just ramble everything.
Yeah, no, that was a great time to meet her. And she was at U Ottawa, and I was on the Quebec side, and I did my my B.Ed at U Ottawa afterwards, and she was completing her fourth year. I was completing like my year of teachers college.
All right. And I mean, just so everyone knows out there watching, like, Laura's awesome. She's come to so many shows and been so supportive of not only Alex, but the band, which is very cool. And yeah, very awesome lady. Next question is, so you always stayed with the bass after that point, and then what was the first band where you started feeling like you were writing and creating songs and it was special?
Well, there's like two instances. So actually, I kind of skipped over this, but this is kind of like an interesting part of my journey. I started actually my first year in university at U Ottawa doing geography, and I forget whatever else I was doing, but I only stayed there for a month. And you know why? Because one of the bands that I was interested in joining was looking for a bass player, and they were going to record an album in Montreal at a professional studio. And they asked me, "Can you learn 12 songs in 2 months and write a couple of them with us before December?" So like in 2 months. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this. Screw studying. I'm going for it. And I remember my parents like ripping their hair out, and they were like, "What are you doing? What are we going to tell people, that you're like not at university, you're going to be a musician?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is what I want to do right now. I'm 20 years old, you know?"
I love that. Okay. So what was their concern? What are we going to tell people?
Yeah.
Listen, parents out there, that is not the number one concern. All right? It just isn't. But anyways, I love Alex's parents, so I would never...
My parents are incredibly supportive.
Yeah, I love them.
My dad bought me all my basses, and well, not the basses recently because they're more expensive.
I saw his face after we got off stage at the Sens game, so I already know.
My dad,
he's very proud,
incredibly supportive, but bless his heart, probably at that time he wasn't sure what I was doing. He was probably concerned about my future.
Yes, he was, and rightfully so. Like I said, I mean, Rohan was on the show, and he's a young man, and the thing about Rohan that I love is that he has all that support from his family, which is amazing. But he's definitely thought out what he needs to do to sustain himself. Get that university degree.
I love Rohan.
Yeah, exactly.
He's amazing.
And so it's a similar kind of thing where everybody has to figure out how they're going to sustain themselves. It's not that.
Yeah. It's a balance. That's the thing. And I believe if I think back at that time, I chose to kind of put a thing completely on hold and put 100% in the other, which is what I thought as a 20-year-old guy, I needed to do. But I could have said, you know what, I'll balance it out. I'll figure it out, which is what I would do now.
Right.
But at that time, it just seems such an opportunity and so important and something that I put on the back burner for so long that I should do. This was a Deadline Arson. The album is still, if you want to go look at it, Deadline Arson. It's still up there, on Spotify. Woo. Shout out to the guys in Deadline Arson. They're great guys. But yeah, and after that, fast forward to moving to Peterborough with my wife. She was going to do her master's degree at Trent. And she's like, hey, Alex, do you want to come with me? And I'm like, I guess so. I love you.
That was kind of the jump. That was sort of the jump where, it's, are you going to go or not, baby? Like, what's going on
Should
here?
I stay or should I go?
That's right. Are you in or are you out? It's time to decide.
So we went for it.
Good.
And I posted on Kijiji that I'm like looking to play in a band and I'm looking to write some music. And I heard back from Brian Darrow, who is like very prominent in Toronto now in different bands, Propter Hawk,
He's just
the
a
Young
good guy.
Scones. Yeah,
He's just a good guy.
and he's an amazing guy. And we wrote a bunch of music together. Alec McEachran, a guy that I love,
Another good guy,
so much, joined the band, and he had excellent writing skills, great lead guitar player, just an excellent guy in general. And Connor Davies,
another coolio.
amazing drummer, great guy. We had some good times, and yeah, those were 2 years in Peterborough that I played with them. We played some shows at the Red Dog that we played together at the Garnet.
Man, that bathroom,
Yeah.
I think I've referenced it once on this show, maybe, but like that bathroom was like Saw. It was like the movie Saw.
Yeah.
Like the flickering light, and then there's like a pool of like something bad over there in the corner. You don't want to look at it. Maybe there's a person over there who's been there for a month. No, don't look.
Yeah.
It was pretty sketchy.
What you didn't see was the Underdog, which was the
Yes.
practice area where you could rent out and like practice with your band. And I remember there was a banana peel in the men's washroom for a year. I could see the banana peel disappearing, transferring into nothingness over the year. It was so funny. But yeah.
Gosh, we played some interesting shows early on. Taming Sari, very interesting.
Yeah.
Like Peterborough, places in Gatineau. I can't even remember the
Café
name.
Renaissance.
Like
Café
one
Notre
time,
Dame.
one time there was a guy playing the spoons. And like I think at Cafe Renaissance or one of those places in just over the border.
Yeah.
There's some wild, interesting little shows.
Played the Minotaur, which was really cool.
Yeah, that's a cool
That
venue.
was for the cancer benefit show that we
Okay.
played.
Yep.
Yeah, we played so many great shows. It's hard to I can't even think about all of them right now.
In the beginning, they were really interesting.
Yeah.
I think because they become a little bit less interesting as time goes on because you're looking for something specific. And in the beginning, you're just, I'll do anything. I'm open to any place, anytime, anywhere. Let's go. And so we would sometimes we're doing a fundraiser. Sometimes we're in some small town in Quebec.
Yeah.
Sometimes we were doing all kinds of like little gigs. I remember we did Capital Fair. That was a big deal for us.
Yeah.
That was a big deal for us getting Capital
With the
Fair.
fire,
Like they do
Alana
things.
Spirals.
Yes,
She was
and-
doing the fireworks.
Yes.
Not the fireworks.
She
but-
was doing hula hoops on
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is now like Capital Fair has like they've got something they do there with music annually that's really cool, and it's just like it's interesting how that's going.
Yeah, and then when I came back from Peterborough, I joined Taming Sari shortly after, a month after.
All right. Well,
This was in September of 2017, after Labor Day weekend.
yeah, that's wild.
I remember driving to the jam spot, which was on Vernon Street in Elmer, in basically a place where you have a bunch of storage units. And I remember driving up, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen to me?" And yeah, there's just a bunch of great guys.
Well,
And we
you met your polar opposite. I mean, people talk about meeting their doppelganger. I mean, Alex met his polar opposite when he met Miguel. But I think there was equal fascination between the two of them,
still do.
enough that they enjoy each other and they enjoy talking and learning from each other. But they're complete opposites. There's no way around it. But I mean, Mig's an eccentric fellow, and I mean, he's very appealing. I had maybe joined the band a month prior. like maybe a month.
Yeah, Warren was still fresh.
It might have been a month, might have been 3 weeks. Like, I don't know how long I was in, but it wasn't that long. And we had auditioned another bass player previous to Alex. And he came in and he said, I'm a prog player, but I'm willing to try and play some rock.
Right.
And we were like, okay. And then he was like, now here's my 15-minute bass solo. And I'm not exaggerating. He then proceeded to play 15 minutes of like him playing like a bass something, you know, like something prog. It didn't sound good. It was just very...
Une pièce musicale.
Yeah.
De 15 minutes.
Yeah, he was Frencher than you even, which I think is hard to believe, you know. But I mean,
Frencher than me.
Yeah,
what does that
man.
even mean,
like,
man?
I know it's hard to really put it. It's like if you said someone was more Englisher than me. It'd be like, what would
Englisher.
that even? Yeah. But what would that even mean, right?
Yeah.
But, no, he was an interesting fellow. So it didn't work out, and I remember afterwards saying, oh, this is going to take a long time to find the right bass player. It's just not going to be a fast thing, guys. It's going to take us a while. And then at that time, the three guys were all Français, and I was like just kind of trying to pick out, literally in the beginning of Taming Sari, there was no English. Like, there was very little English spoken in the first year. Where it was like
probably beneficial for you
for my learning purposes. It was right, and like culturally thinking now, it's like it's wild to think about. But in that first year, maybe even the second year, like I don't think there was a whole lot of, you know, English. It was a lot of me just listening to you guys and going, okay, I think I can get in there. All right, I think I understand what they're saying. And I used to go in the truck with Mig because Mig would like give me French lessons. He'd show me French songs that I should know. And,
Yeah.
you know, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, now I know about that French artist. All right, I'm ready to really progress in my French learning.
And you had like a cultural immersion, as we say.
And so then I remember you coming out, and Alex was wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. So immediately my anxiety was like, oh man, first we had the prog guy, and now we've got the metal guy. The guy who's like, oh, I can do rock, but I prefer to do metal. You know, like that's what I thought you were about to say.
I mean, I just love Steve Harris so much, you know. Again, there's another person that just revolutionized the bass, you know, so...
Well, and the other thing I was like is these guys are weird. Like I already knew that Miguel was weird, and you know Danny's an interesting fellow, Adam's an interesting fellow. Good guys, all good guys, but all interesting chaps. So I didn't know if you were gonna bite on us weirdos.
You were interesting too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Us weirdos. Like I might be the weirdest of the bunch, especially at that time. I think I was pretty messed up at that time. So I mean,
I don't know. You were Warren.
Yeah, I was, but I mean, I sure for sure I was, and
Still are.
yeah, I try to be. I try not to change into other people. So I remember your audition going fantastic and swimmingly, and again, my main concern wasn't is he good enough. My concern was is he gonna bite? Is he gonna take the bait and join the band? Because he was like, I'm in an orchestra and I'm doing this.
I come back from Peterborough and I rejoined the adult orchestra with Madame Simon, my old music teacher in high school, and she just retired this year actually. And I knew I couldn't commit to both. I had just come back from like one of those practices, and then I went to audition. I think it was the next day with you guys, and I opened my bass case and I had all the sheet music and all that stuff. It was very metaphorical and allegorical in a way.
Yeah, man. It's been a long road. It's been a long journey. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm super happy with, you know, everything that we've accomplished so far with the project, and you know, it's been almost 7 years, and I'm just so happy to have the privilege to make music and to play live and you know, be part of the community. It's really a privilege, even though like sometimes it's difficult because there's different things in life that come your way and you have to deal with them. your mental health you have to take care of. There's like a pandemic that happened. Making sure that you could pay the bills too.
Yeah.
Like those are all things that exist in that cosmos, that microcosm that is the music community. And we have to show ourselves grace. We have to celebrate every little victory.
It's true.
And we just have to remain positive and know that we do it because we love it. I think that's the biggest takeaway that's happening for me right now, because it's just there's not a lot of people get to experience this and be part of these bands, right? That get to perform.
I mean, look at we have a band member, Taylor. Taylor does fantastic work. Actually, let me try and do this. I always mess up Taylor's name because I'm stupid. So let me try this. Taylor James Farrell. What's his? Oh, I failed.
Harris.
Oh man, I fail every time because he's got 4 names.
Yeah.
But he's the best. Anyway, so Taylor does music production online, and he legitimately helps people make songs, and they're not musicians necessarily a lot of the time, right? But he helps them fulfill that dream of creating that song for that loved one or whoever it might be. And it's just interesting how the world has developed into such a personalized buffet of options when it comes to music, to the point of, making it yourself, to your own design, your own desire.
It's beautiful because music is meant to be enjoyed and created by everyone. There's going to be all sorts of different kind of pieces of music everywhere. It's the same for visual art. Like you're going to have such a wide range. You can commission someone to paint you something. You could do it yourself. You can ask AI now to help you out. And it's the same thing for music, right? So it's like it's interesting where we're going, but the thing is, we're always going to need human beings to create music and to perform and play live and create connections in a community. I think that's what's beautiful about it, and we have to maintain that.
I think
as much as possible.
Fascinating to think about the cultural side of music, how if everything was undone, and I won't say how, but if everything in the world was undone and we had to start again, I believe that music would become cultural right again from the very get-go, and it would represent that group of people. And then when they got into the agricultural side of things, again, it would develop a new style of country and bluegrass. And as they developed into the cities and into poverty and things like that, they developed the blues, and on, like I do believe music is so representative of the human condition. And yeah, it's so cool how we think now we control it. We think now that we've really got our hands on the genres, but the truth is it would reset and retake over everything from the beginning.
Music is a meditation, right? Art is a meditation. You listen to music, you could become in a trance, right? You could be transported somewhere else. Your imagination can run wild about what's happening with the music that you're listening to. And I think, yes, you're right. Absolutely. It's part of the human condition. It's always going to be part of it. Vibrations.
Yeah.
And any culture will want their music.
The rhythm of the drum will come back every time, and it's because it's in your chest, right? You've got the pounding of your heart, and you'll hear the stream, you'll hear the river, and all these things, the birds, and it'll all come back to man. So I think it's pretty incredible, Well, as we get spacey out there, did you watch the?
As we get spacey, I love it.
Yeah, we get spacey out. Did you see the Joe Rogan with Terrence Howard?
I don't watch Joe Rogan.
Okay, well, listen. The reason I wanted to ask you is because Terrence Howard kind of went on some tirades about mathematics and 1 × 1 not equaling 1, for example, and things like this, and it was a bunch of hooey. Okay, but there was one thing he was talking about where he talked about the chemical, what do you call it? All the elements, chemical elements, right? The periodic table.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was saying about how he liked a 20s version where they associated tones with each element.
Okay.
And how the tones mate with one another and things like that. And like it's nonsense, folks. It's not true. But I loved it. Like from like a spaced out you look at things, I was like, ooh, a periodic table with tones. I wants it. You know?
But yeah, but like you always tell me, like Warren, like music is like magic, right? And we're always gonna, you know, like we always want to understand magic, things that are kind of like beyond us. And I think music's always going to be that. Whether you put some mathematical kind of equation to it or a model, right?
Yeah.
It's just like I'm trying to figure it out and I'm trying to have some control. I have one of the books that I bought a while ago, and it's The Science of Music and why we like it. You know, why do we like these songs? Why are they catchy to us? And there is kind of like a scientific element to it. Like, of course, you could use science to answer those questions. A lot of times it's just about feel. You know, how many times have you like, oh, I use my ear, right? I just played a feel.
Made sense. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just clicked.
Yeah. So it's cool. I think we could explore. Like, I think this guy is onto something too about tones and whatnot. I think we're all just trying to figure it out.
He had some wild theories.
I won't comment on everything on that show, but yeah.
No. I mean, yeah, it was pretty nuts. I mean, they brought Eric Weinstein on, like a quantum physicist, to kind of rebut things and make Terrence understand. And to be honest, he was quite kind. He wasn't mean in kind of setting the record straight about certain scientific properties that just aren't wrong, and they're not going to change just because you don't think it makes sense.
A lot of it is like philosophy at the same time too. It's just like we like to imagine certain models, certain things happening in a way, but you know, there's we don't know. We don't have the ultimate answer.
So Alex, besides music, besides the bass guitar, besides rock, besides Taming Sari, besides your wonderful, beautiful wife Laura, what is Alex all about?
I'm just an easygoing kind of guy. I like to have a balance in life. I love my friends. I love my family. I love playing sports, spending time outside. I mean, the music aspect is huge in my life for sure. One of the things that really ignite me is cooking. Like we mentioned cooking earlier.
Oh, yes. We're going to do some cooking later on. The next time Alex comes on,
yeah, like after you've done a few guests. But yeah, so the one thing that I'm cooking right now is I found a recipe, and I'll post it in the comments when you post it.
Oh, good. Recipe.
It's a loaf pan shawarma chicken recipe. Okay, so you take some chicken thighs, you put salt, good quality olive oil, lemon, bunch of spices. You marinate it in a loaf pan, and then you cook it like stacked, like it would be like kind of like on a spit, a shawarma spit. And then like when you like dump it out, anyways, you'll see in the video, when you dump it out, you could slice it like shawarma, and it's like the best chicken ever. And then you get some pita, some hummus, some garlic sauce, and stuff like that. I wish I could have made it for you, but it takes quite a while. But let's say we're in the studio next time.
Yeah.
While we're in the studio, we'll marinate the chicken, and then we'll make it.
We should have a band dinner soon and force you to cook for us.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that's pretty much me. I'm not like a complicated guy.
I thought of something. You like cats.
I do love cats.
You have one cat?
I have one cat. His name is Jack Daniels. Jack for short, and he's a domestic long hair, and I love him.
He's a good boy. I tried to pick Jack up the first time I met him, and he disciplined me. He put me in my place, and rightfully so.
He doesn't like being picked up. Yeah.
No, he's like, I'm a big boy. I don't want that. Yeah. So one more thing I would say is like, did you love making the music videos? I look back at our time, and I think about the music videos as being a lot of fun.
I love making the music videos. That was like a unique experience that nowhere else in life this was offered to me, right?
Yeah.
Like when we made that crazy video at Joel's place, wearing the mermaid tail, jumping in the water, and like the cool van, and just I don't know, man, it's something special. And it was just so nice that everybody wanted to be part of it. All the fans, you know, Trevor was there, Cannon was there, Rox was there. Anyways, I can't name all the people.
There was a lot
Connor.
there's amazing people that come out and support, and
Yeah.
man.
And we love you guys so much. Just a shout out to the fans.
Yeah.
Not just of me, but, of
And-
music in general and in Ottawa and everywhere in the world. Just thank you for showing up to shows and rocking out with us, having a good time.
Yeah, for everyone out there, thank you so much for watching. In my opinion, Alex is, the best bass player and the best band member possible, and I'm so grateful to have had him and have him in my band. And it's awesome that, again, hearing us being supportive to old Crazy Warren, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that. And I can't wait to keep making more wicked music with you and more crazy music videos. But for now, folks, we've run out of time.
And Warren, thank you so much for inviting me. I think this is great. I love that you're doing this. And yeah, the episodes have been great so far. So keep going. And I'm happy to support you because you're awesome.
Thank you, Alex. All right, folks, the Love Fest has come to an end, but we'll see you next time on All Worn Out. Bye, everybody.
Take care.